So today we're going to be taking a look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin, The Last Ronin Battle Damaged. So this is a figure that is kind of a surprise in the line, in my opinion, because once we got Donatello, I feel like we had completed the line as far as like the main characters, and they were going to start releasing more characters that were in the comic, like Baxter Stockman or April. And of course, while we most likely will be getting those figures, I wasn't expecting this one. This was a primary kind of look for the Last Ronin in the comic, but it was just a surprise to me. But definitely looking at the promo images, watching some videos, this figure looks like it is amazing. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So right on the top, you can see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin. You have the Last Ronin right here pouring his tea. You have the three Ghost Brothers right there, and the Last Ronin Battle Damaged. On the right, you get a nice image that does connect into the larger mural. I do believe this is Michelangelo, so if you have that figure, they do connect. And then at the bottom, you can see two hands of the Ghost Brothers drinking tea as well. Right on the back, you could see the turtle. Down here, you have a quick bio and an image of the Last Ronin from the comic. On this side, you have the Last Ronin, another image, and on the bottom, you see the name, and he is number 12 in the line. On the top, the Last Ronin, and on the bottom, everybody who worked on this figure, as well as the barcode right there. So let's go ahead and let's open him up. Let's open it up through the window, of course, through NECA's traditional packaging, and let's see what he is all about. That's pretty cool. it's it's an odd figure because this figure is really cool. Like, just looking at him, he is big, he looks tough, he looks awesome. I mean, this box is even bigger than your standard NECA box, and he feels heavy. Like, if you buy this and you feel him, he's much heavier than any other figure. But it's just such a funny figure because it's the Last Ronin, but with no clothes. But yeah, so over here you see you get a nice promo image of the Last Ronin. And of course, you have the figure, the heads, the accessories. And then if you see in the back there, those are some extra accessories that we'll get into once we unbox them. So let's get into that and let's see what this unarmored or battle damaged Ronin is all about. Real quick, before we go ahead and fully take out the Last Ronin out of his plastic prison, I want to show you how he is displayed inside of his prison. I don't know what else to call it. But right here, of course, you have the figure, you have the three head sculpts, and you have his book. And then here you have his teapot and his teacup. These are held in with a plastic piece, but all the other accessories are not. And then on the back, you do get some more accessories, which are held in by another plastic piece, which is his two swap out forearms, as well as his 3 pairs of hands. And of course, as every figure collector's nightmare, the plastic ties. He does have a few of them. It's going to be difficult getting them out, but we have to. So I'll go ahead and get those out, and I'll show you this figure in just a second. Okay, so here he is out of the packaging, and as weird of a figure as he is, because he is just the unarmored Ronin, he is pretty awesome. Like, just the design is really cool, and just like taking out all of the accessories, it's just really awesome. Like, the way this guy is, like, just looking at the hands and how like big and like just he just looks like a really awesome, strong, hulking figure. He looks like the Hulk, but a turtle. So before we get into him, he's just really awesome. He's like massive. It's cool. He's gonna look cool on the shelf. But let's get into the accessory before we get into him. So of course, you do get your 3 extra pairs of hands. You do get 2 fully splayed out hands, so you could do a karate chop or a high 3, whatever you want to do. But pretty nice extra pairs of hands. You do get 2 claw or like grasping hands right here. Very nicely detailed. The paint is really good on all of these accessories. And then you get 2 gripping hands. Like, every time I look at these accessories, they look like the Hulk. Like, It's just funny. But yeah, so you get two grasping hands. And then, of course, you get his teapot. Also very nicely painted and detailed. Does not open, but still really cool. Of course, you get his teacup. This is a little plain. I mean, it is accurate from the comic, but I wish it would have had like a handle, or I don't know, do something funny on it. But you know, teacup. Maybe you know something that would have been cool. Put tea inside, or give us an extra accessory that has tea. I don't know. That would have been cool, I feel. But anyway, you do get I cannot speak. An open page of the Splinter's journal. We do actually have a few of these in the line now. There's one that has no piece. There's one that's just closed. So this is an open one on one of the pages of Splinter's ninjutsu training, you know. That's really cool, nicely detailed. And of course, the biggest accessories, you get some extra arms, because who knows, what if you lose an arm? Now you got a new arm. But nah, it's cool. It's cool, very nicely detailed. This arm is mainly for all like the bandages. That's why you have the head sculpt there. But nice arms. I don't know what else to say. You get some extra arms, so cool. But the head sculpts are really nice. You get one head sculpt that does not have any bandages on it. Well, you get two. The one that's on the figure and this one. This one does have like a slight open mouth grin. And then these two heads both have the bandages on them. So one has a wide open mouth and one has more of a smiling grin. So some really nice accessories. They're definitely all very nicely painted, but I want to get onto this figure because he just looks awesome. So let's get right into the detail of this figure, because he just looks awesome. Looks like the Hulk. This figure, as odd of a choice as it is, he just looks amazing. So let's get into that detail. As you can see at the head, he has really nice comic paint all over him. And the shell just looks awesome. Like, it's so big. One thing to note is that it isn't the same as the shell from the original unarmored Last Ronin figure. Of course, that is because in the comic book, different artists worked on different panels. So, of course, this isn't going to be the same. But it's just something to note. The original shell was a bit more rounded, while this one comes to a point. So, if that bothers you, don't get it. But this figure's still just awesome. All the way around, you can see the nice detail on the inner shell. And even on the back shell, you could see through there, and the paint all throughout. You can see the nice paint on the wraps as well. And it's just really nice, especially for a figure that is like just green all the way through, other than like the shell and the wraps. They put a lot of detail into him that is just awesome. But let's go ahead and get into that articulation. So the head can look up like that, which is actually really impressive for some of the turtles. Like, some of the other turtle figures can't look up that much, so that's really cool. Of course, he can look down about that much, which is pretty good. The camera is like doing weird lighting things, but he could look down a good amount. And of course, he can look left, he can look right, all the way around. Really cool. The arms can go up about that much, so just about a T-pose, nothing more. And then, of course, both arms do have double jointed elbows, so they can go in about that much. Really nice. And then at the wrist, you do get, of course, some swivel. And you could get in and out, but you might want to heat that up. Yeah, I don't want to force that, but you do get in and out at the joints, but you might want to heat up the joints a little bit because they are a little bit tight. And then, of course, at the torso, you may think you're not going to get any articulation, but they sculpted a whole, like, puzzle piece in here that you could get actually some crazy articulation, but it does look a little weird. Like, you move him, and the yellow inner shell does not move, and you could kind of see, like, the inside. So, although there is some articulation that you might be able to get some use out of, it is a little bit odd to use, because, you know, you got to make sure it looks good with the inner shell. So that is something to note. If you don't want to, if, you know, do with that what you will. But the legs cannot go up too much in a straight position, but if you do twist them, they can go up about that much. So definitely less than 90. I would have preferred more, but I don't know, like the way this figure looks like the Hulk is just like awesome to me. But yeah, it can only get up about that much. Of course, you do get your double hinge knees, which go pretty far actually, like that, way more than 90. So you could get a running pose if you want, whatever you want to do with this guy. And then of course at the ankle, can't really move. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you're gonna really want to heat this guy up. But yeah, so the articulation is pretty good. It's it could be a little bit better in the leg area, I wish, but it is still pretty good, and you are going to want to heat him up, or at least be very careful and gentle with the joints as you're articulating him, because you don't want this guy to break. Like, I mean, he's awesome, but you know, just make sure you're careful with these joints. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into some comparisons. Let's see how he looks with some other figures, how big he is, and yeah, let's see how he looks. Okay, so here he is, of course, drinking his tea with the Star Wars The Black Series Stormtrooper, the Jakks Pacific Sonic the Hedgehog, the Last Ronin Donatello and Michelangelo, and the NECA Halloween Kills Michael Myers. Of course, he looks amazing, as I say, in every video, but he really does. He's big and way taller than like the Last Ronin figures, for example, and he's gonna look great on the shelf. Of course, as I say with the Last Ronin line specifically, is that the paint detailing on these figures is so good that not only could you put them in kind of a comic book display, but you could also put these figures in more of a realistic display. Of course, Michael Myers isn't, he wouldn't really make sense like story wise, but if you wanted to do that, you could put them in a more realistic display with other NECA figures, and even like a Black Series or a Marvel Legends, for example, any Hasbro brands, I feel like you could also get away with that as well. So what do I think about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin Battle Damaged? Personally, I really like this figure. As weird as a figure as it is, because it is just a giant unarmored turtle, I really like the way that this figure is just designed. He is very big, very strong, and he's gonna look really cool in any display, I feel. Of course, I do think that he is more of a figure that depends on what you want in your display. This isn't a figure I'd say is necessary for every display. For example, the Last Ronin line specifically has had 3 Last Ronins, one that was armored, one that was unarmored, and this one. And I feel like you definitely need the other 2 because they both are important moments throughout the story. And although this figure and this design is represented in the story pretty consistently, even though it is a consistent design throughout the story, this isn't a figure that is necessary in a Last Ronin display. I personally just really enjoy all of the detailing and just the overall design, but again, it's up to you. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you already have them, and I'll see you next time.